How's it going, Taurus community? Soul Tiger is here with a special story for this wonderful frequency. First off, let me start this off by saying thank you so much for your time, your energy, and your patience as I navigate this story between the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, and everything in between. Now, with that all said, keep in mind that this is a space where we call in the angels, ancestors, spirit guides, as well as divine and universal energy to come on in and be the guides and protectors of all the positive messages that are going to come out. Keep in mind that this is not love tarot here. What this channel is about is self-empowerment, and what that means to me is building our stepping stones to getting closer to our soul being, which helps align us with a higher power. So Taurus, what is in your vibe? You know what? Today is Saturday, and if you go off of, I believe it's the old Solomon calendar, I believe it's an old calendar where it breaks the days down into certain planets that govern them, and then in the certain hours it will change out different planets that are governing that hour. But for today it is a lot of Capricorn and a little bit of Aquarius energy, because it's all about Saturn. It's a lot of third eye energy as well. So with that being said, I mentioned this because of the vibe that came in. Saturn is a lot of fear of change. It also could be said that there's a lot of dark energy around. And you know what? When I was doing my journaling, that was something that I definitely felt, even sifting through some stuff that I'm working through personally. And this is all going to fit into the vibe. So the vibe talks about the first three things right away: conflict, confronting, controlling. These are those three things. So buried, Taurus, buried away in distractions to not feel anything. There is a Taurus whose inner world is just full of chaos. Past things such as regret swirl around like an endless tornado, destroying any chance of inner peace. Conflict comes from where you are versus where you really want to be. Confronting is the thing that this Taurus shies away from. Letting the fears take control and govern your days. Controlling, trying to stay 10 steps ahead, avoiding feeling how you really fear inside. So let's reread that part. Avoiding feeling how you really fear inside. That's not a typo. There are a lot of things that are going on inside this Taurus. Like I said, it's like a constant tornado in their inner world of things that are being destroyed, things that have been destroyed, things that feel like that are going through the same cycle that they've went through probably even at a younger time. So there is a fear inside that is governing this tornado. And a lot has to do with the mind, how this Taurus is thinking about things. You are overworked, overstimulated, and overly hurt about something you haven't healed from. Nothing has changed because you have not made the big moves to do something out of your comfort zone. That's a really big thing for Taurus energy. They're pretty stubborn. Just like the Capricorns are really stubborn when it comes to trying to get them out of their comfort zones. Talking to yourself more because you're overly stressed out about things. And your inner world is trying to reach out to you. Taurus, just know it takes strength and bravery to ask for help. Just like it takes courage to confront fears. And this is something that this Taurus I get has been plagued with for many years. You know, trying to stay that 10 steps ahead. Has the Taurus could be cutting off people, cutting off situations really quick. Even could be self-sabotaging things really quick, because if they let it too close, that means it can hurt them. Oh, and Tauruses don't like to be hurt. Nobody likes to be hurt, but I would say that's where a Taurus is kind of like an Aquarius in a sense. Aquariuses are known to be really cold. A lot of people don't know this about Aquariuses, but Aquariuses actually love very, very deeply. But they don't believe in giving their love to everyone. So I kind of like have this Taurus here who's really fixed in the thoughts about things. I think this is why I'm picking up that Aquarius energy. And because they're so fixed in the thoughts with this, it really blocks anything from coming in. It blocks anything from blossoming, because again, if it gets too close, if Taurus feels like there's any inkling that this thing can hurt them, then that's it. No more. I'm not going to do it. But there's that fear. There's that fear of connection. And that fear is stemmed from something not being healed from a past time. So let's go ahead and get started with the introduction. Right away, I was governed to the what's the T Oracle to see what's gonna come out. I've kind of gotten some hints in the cleansing, but I kind of don't want to jump to conclusions on what's going on with the Taurus or where things can be rooted from. So divine and angels, what is it that needs to come out for this introduction for the Taurus frequency? So I have haunted, memories, flashbacks, trauma, side effects. That's something that's right there, that's really up front with you. And these two cards want to come out. Hustling in reverse, making it rain, focused on money, getting it. You could be making moves, but in a sense, you're not making moves. You're blocking off. You don't want things to get too close. And it could be masked by always partying, trying to be the life of the party. The Casanova, the Bachelor, the Bachelorette kind of thing. Always trying to keep yourself free from certain attachments, I think. Be careful with that alcohol, with that party. I'm led to say, please, please, please be careful. Look at this 3 of Cups we have here. I mean, you could be celebrating, you could be hanging out with others who have a fear of confronting things, who are staying where they're at, letting their fears run their world. And I mention this a lot because through our fears, that's when we'll start to lean towards coping mechanisms. Be careful. Be careful, because you could feel like they're on your level. You can feel like whatever you're doing to get away from all this stuff is on your level, but just know it's there to keep you there. It's there to keep you in the cycle. It's there to keep you distracted. While that big old tornado in your inner world goes round and round and round and round every single day, 24/7, as long as you're up and you can think. It's there and it's active. Do you want to break from it? That's the thing. Have something moving in silence. It could have to do with these people. It could have to do with keeping you stuck as well. But whatever it is, it's more than one thing. And I got somebody who's focused on keeping you stuck. What else needs to come out? It's about resources. about resources for somebody. Ooh, you see that moving on is in reverse, and I'm told one more card. What is this last card? Last two cards. Not seeing something that's unfazed, and you're not seeing something that ain't shit. Let's see. There's a choice here that's been made for somebody. It looked really, really, really good at the moment. Whatever this contract is, whatever this partnership, it looked really good at the moment. But on the other side of it, it keeps you stuck. It's not a sunny day. It's more of a down kind of energy. What it is you could be keeping somebody's misery company, whoever this is, and you're not seeing that it ain't shit. That this situation does not have to govern your whole life. But the whole thing is, Taurus, what we talk about, not confronting fears. So in a sense, you're kind of keeping your head down, focusing on something else. So you don't have to feel the full extent of whatever this is. So you don't have to confront. So you don't have to get out of that comfort zone. I don't know, but doing that has also blinded you to the people behind your back doing things. That's what I can tell you, because look at these two cards. You got somebody behind your back, or you could have many people behind your back doing many things. Just all depends, but this running away to these coping mechanisms, whatever it is, it's the very thing that's helping you block out things, to keep you unfazed, to keep you probably thinking that it's in your head or something. You know, maybe I didn't see that. You know, actually this happens quite a bit. We'll feel really strongly about something, and instead of tuning into it and working through it, sorting out our feelings, what we'll do is we'll run to something. We'll run to something to help take the edge off. Something that we know that's going to calm us down, something that's going to dull the emotions. When it could be that these emotions are coming up, you could have your guides trying to talk to you. You could have divine trying to come in and bring some kind of intervention, but you're over here numbing yourself. You're numbing yourself so you don't have to feel anything. You have to be careful with that. I would look at how many times you have to go in and do this process. If you're noticing that it's more than half of your week, that's a big red flag. If you're noticing that you do it quite a bit after your interactions with somebody in particular, that's a big red flag too. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the present here. You see so much, like that card just wanted to fall. I was doing the shuffling for the tea, and a bunch of those cards wanted to fall out. And I think that this is where you're at, Taurus. I will take a real quick detour. Thank you for your patience. But for a lot of people, when we reach around our 30s, everything that we've put on the back burner or our metaphoric shelf in our inner home, I always like to say that we have this metaphoric shelf that we stick a lot of things that we don't want to look at, a lot of things that we could have resentment about, and those type of situations. So what happens is by the time we kind of hit our 30s, all the resentment from those different situations, guilt, the fears that we have, the anxieties, you know, us feeling foolish, you know, all those emotions that don't make us feel really great. We've stuck so much on this shelf. And again, by the time we reach 30, this shelf starts to overflow and stuff starts falling out. And so then we're starting to get these reminders, these strong reminders of certain things that we went through. And it feels like we're running into situations all over again that are depicting these situations. And the more we start to let time go on, or the older we get, the more we put on the shelf, the more it starts to break down. This is my theory on why people will have midlife crisis sometimes, is because there's so much built up from the life that they've been living, and they haven't allowed themselves to sort through it. And I feel like this is kind of what's happening with this Taurus energy. There are things here in your past that you need to work through. Things that you could be embarrassed about, things that you could have resentment about, things that you could be really, really angry about, things that you can be really hurt about. And not all these things have to do with you and you doing it. It could be people in your past who have done things to you too. Certain situations that you were stuck in, that you didn't have a choice. There are lots of variables in life where we don't have choices sometimes, and stuff happens to us. And I feel like this is something that's happening to this Taurus. Just know, when I pick up for myself, when I pick up the energy where I talk to myself a lot more, I have read somewhere that that's a part of processing stuff. But I know when I talk to myself more, I'm more stressed. So when I notice that, I know that my stress levels are high. So I start to go in and I start to really evaluate where this stress is coming from, starting to make sure that I'm also taking care of myself, taking time instead of trying to run from distraction to distraction to distraction, so I don't have to feel anything. So be careful, Taurus. Be careful how you handle this stuff. Be careful if you want to keep this all piled up for 10, 20 more years, to where you're still using a lot of distractions so you don't have to feel things, which keep you from confronting your fears. So let's get started with this present. What is it, divine and universal energy, that wants to come out for this present? This moves in silence. What is it? 10 of Cups. I don't know, whoever this is, they know that this isn't it. They know that this isn't it. This isn't the ideal outcome. They could know particularly that this is not your happy place. This is not your success. This is not where you want to be. They could know it. Did y'all see that? Because that's this person over here that married for money right here. I have the Four of Swords. And then I have two other cards that land there. Oh my goodness. This person doesn't want to be stuck in something. I don't know what it is. Stuck in poverty, I'm hearing. Ooh. I have an Empress in reverse, the Fool, and the Knight of Swords. This person is a bad Empress. A bad Empress. Bad person. This isn't a good person. This is a person who needs to go kick rocks. That's what I'm seeing here. Because this person has this agenda of not being stuck. And I feel like because it's a lot of glitz and glamour that they're focused on, they don't want to be stuck in poverty. There's something here about your resources that feeds them, that feeds what they want, that feeds what they feel like they quote unquote need. With this King of Swords, usually this is the King of Swords. Oh. With this King of Swords here in reverse, King of Swords in uprights, taking care of business. This is a person, could be a person of the law in upright, but this is a corrupt person in reverse. This is a person who only has the it's my way or the highway type of mentality. And you pair this with this Empress. This Empress is actually supposed to represent Taurus. Tauruses, because it's that Venus energy, shows much about what we relate to and what we love. So right now, there's something here on the flip side that you could have bonded with this person. There's something here where you could have been trying to save them. I don't know yet. I don't know. But you somehow got attached to this person, and it had to do with something that you loved, maybe something that you were relating to. But it's worked out differently. Maybe it has to do with this past. Maybe this person reminded you of somebody of your past. And maybe you thought that we could heal them, we can make them better, we could do something different with this personality type. That could be why this Fool is here, trying to do a new adventure with it. But this personality type is just, what I see is just shit on somebody's shoe. This is the poop on your shoe, Taurus. You want to know why you keep smelling something stinky? That's because you keep stepping in this person's shit. You keep stepping in this person's pile. That's what I get there. Oh. You have an ancestor who's really upset. That's what I get. You have an ancestor who's really frustrated because of how much this person is frustrating you, how much this person is playing on you. All I see is just like really anger, rage, dude. You could be raging out, this person could be raging out, or your ancestors are raging out in your background because of what's going on and because you've blinded yourself. They're upset. I can feel that heat here in my third eye. I can see the red. They are very upset by this situation, Taurus. You haven't fulfilled the contract here. You've drawn out this contract for some reason. What do you mean this contract? Every person that we come into alignment with, every situation we come into alignment with, is some kind of contract that we're working through. Whether a good contract, whether a bad contract, whether an ugly contract, whether a beautiful contract, or something in between. Let me share this with you, Taurus. There was a particular Taurus recently that I had a contract with through their ancestors. I remember making this deal with the ancestors, being conscious of this deal. I didn't know what it was exactly. I just knew that I had made a deal with this particular Taurus's ancestors. And recently, within the past few weeks, the ancestors have came to me and said that I fulfilled my part of the contract. And they brought that contract to show me that it is done. My contract wasn't direct. How do I put it? It wasn't direct. How do I put it? It wasn't direct interference. It wasn't direct being one-on-one with this person, but it was the energy that how do I put this? It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to explain this because there are things that happen in the energetic world, just like there's colors and sounds that we can't see. So there's a certain language in the energetic world that sometimes you can't put the right words to. But what I can say in human terminology is that I had a contract with the person. And this contract wasn't one where we were in a relationship. This contract wasn't one of where we were seeing each other somehow every day. The contract was the fact that I was even placed on their timeline. The contract of me being placed on their timeline gave this person a different view into something. We are all teachers and students of each other. So the way I reacted to certain things while on this person's timeline, because we knew of each other. We didn't know each other personally. We knew of each other. had them seeing certain things, had them witnessing certain things, had me witnessing certain things. And this energy that this other brought in was energy that mimicked another situation in my past that I hadn't worked through yet. I hadn't fully healed. So I had to be the student here at times too, and learning what I needed to learn from this situation. Even though this situation didn't involve us seeing each other every day, didn't involve us having any conversations like that, but because we were placed on each other's timeline at the same time, because we were the only ones who were going to be able to put out a lesson from the divine. And if we chose to learn from it, then we would ascend. This person, this Taurus here, you're going through this because you have a certain contract. I don't know what this contract is with this other, but you have a contract. And you can pray. You can start to journal about it. You need to start talking about this tornado in your inner home, because then you're going to start to process stuff. You're talking to yourself a lot because there's stuff that you haven't processed. You have your inner being trying to reach out to your mental being, to your emotional being, trying to figure things out. You have these three beings of yourself. Even your physical being will go 4 beings of yourself that are so separated and blocked from each other because, again, of this inner turmoil, this inner chaos that you keep going around and around in your home, in your inner home. But it's being fed, and it's being fed by somebody here who is meant to teach you. It's a hard lesson. This is a hard lesson that you're going through right now. But what's harder is not making the moves to change things, is not making the moves to heal. And that's why you're stuck here, Taurus. You are stuck here because you're not honoring this contract to move forward. And as we talk about this, the 7 Pentacles, you need to work. Work needs to be done here for what? What does this say? An awakening. An awakening for what? 5 of Swords. Knowing when to walk away. Knowing when to step away, not to abandon anybody, not even to abandon yourself, but to start to heal yourself. What happened with me and this Taurus on this timeline, where we were both brought together, it wasn't intimate. It wasn't, I never had a casual conversation with them. But it was meant to bring a lesson that would heal me into what I deserve, seeing what I deserve, seeing if temptation was going to win, or if I valued my healing more. What was going to win? What do you value more here, Taurus? Do you value the distractions to try and take the pain away, to numb the pain? Because it doesn't take it away. To numb the pain. Or do you want to value something else? Healing, working through the pain, understanding the pain, understanding why you feel how you feel, why you've made choices from that. What habits have you learned because you were trying to protect yourself, and the things that you're still doing to try and protect yourself? What is it that you actually fear here? And what I heard is rejection. After I said that, you fear rejection. Everybody fears rejection. Rejection sucks. Don't feel like the only one to fear rejection. But then that fear of rejection and never making moves keeps you stuck, Taurus. Keep that in mind. Two more cards we're not seeing that comes on to these 5 of Swords. 5 of Pentacles. 5 of Pentacles. Oh. So, the moon talks about things that we believe in. 5 of Pentacles in reverse, you're getting out the cold. So what I get is you promised yourself at some point in your time in your path or in your past or on your path, you promised yourself something in particular. And you did this so that you would never be out on the cold again. I promise I'm not going to do this. I promise I'm not going to let somebody get close like that again. I promise that I'm not going to fall for whatever gender's tricks. It could be something like that. I mean, we could learn a lot of things. We could learn a lot of things from other people, other experiences, especially experiences that we didn't have choices in. And a lot of times, we make these really, really big promises to ourselves to protect ourselves. Right here, there is a belief. There is a certain belief in the past, with past people behind you on your path, that you did not want to do something again. What else needs to come out? This could be a part of why you move the way you move. King of Pentacles. Yeah. It's a part of why you're not so giving when it comes to your heart. That kind of stability. When it comes to your emotional kind of stability. When it comes to how you're rooted in things. Oh, Taurus. You kind of became, I hate to put that word out there, but it's the only word that I'm hearing is you became selfish. You became selfish because you felt like whatever happened in your past showed you couldn't depend on somebody or something, or it could be even some gender. So you became focused on you. Focused on what you want, not what you need, but what you want. And you toss those needs to the side because it's like how you tossed, it could be love to the side. And it was to keep you protected. You don't want to let somebody in that close again. And it could be why you even got with this person to begin with, why you're in this situation. It could be because the situation's really superficial. And they don't ask you to meet them on a deeper level because they don't care about a deeper level. But something here in you is at a deeper level. Is at a deeper level and hasn't been healed yet. It's the thing that keeps you blocked. I'm hearing one last card for the present. What is the last card for the present? Oh. The Emperor. Yeah. For some reason, you don't want to lose it all. I don't know what it is that you have in particular. There's something that you have. Second house is identification with substance. That's Taurus house. Taurus, Taurus, Taurus. I have the throat, the neck fixed. You're fixed. See how this Emperor is fixed on his view. Fixed on what they have. You're fixed. You're directly fixed on what you've accumulated. King of Pentacles is all about their accessories. All about their accessories. What I'm hearing is the glitz and the glamour. You are fixed on how you are perceived, what you have, what you show up with. This is why also you have a big block up. You try and always keep this this outside of like looking like you have power. What I get is like we get into some situations, or not some situations, we get into certain phases of our lives where we're just like a mess. We are a mess inside. And for myself, because I'm going through some, how do I put it? life changes. What I get, it's like for me at times I'm like almost ready to cry in an instant when I'm watching certain things. I'm just like, what's going on? This reminds me of being pregnant, but I'm not pregnant. This is not those kind of hormones, but oh my gosh. It's that type of energy. It's like you are just like the tiniest toothpick of strength, and if anything snaps this little toothpick, it's all gonna come out. It's all gonna come out. I have a Taurus here who looks powerful, who looks well dressed, who looks like they're handling it, but on the inside it's not handled. It's hard. They're very emotional. They don't know how to process it. They don't know how to feel. They tried to block off some stuff so that they wouldn't end up hurt, but here they are still feeling the same as they did once before. And now they're attached to ways to try and numb it because they haven't healed. They can't really escape all these memories. And you have something here who's like a trigger for them that they face all the time. This trigger is out for their energy. This trigger is out for the resources. And this trigger doesn't really see them. Whoever this person is doesn't really see this Taurus. This person, they are on their own stuff. They are on their own stuff. For some reason today, her eyes, this person's eyes, they're on something. They're distracted. They're off in la la land. And this isn't a sober-minded person to me today on what I'm seeing just with these eyes. I see somebody who's physically here, but mentally, they're not here. They're gone. They're on something else. And I really do think something else. I hear a big word of an opiate. I don't know. Opiate. I'm seeing pills. Could be in a pill form. But they're on something else. Just like you're trying to numb stuff, they're trying to numb stuff. So both of y'all, in all reality, are not fulfilling your contracts with each other. Whatever this contract is. And it doesn't have to be just a marriage contract. I'm talking about a spiritual contract. You haven't healed yourself from the past, so you're repeating a mistake that has already been done to you. This is really, really crazy. This is wow. So I've been watching some different stuff. I love the Spiritual Court Tarot channel. Definitely been watching that. And there is a lot of this in the water right now, or on the land, in the air. There's a lot going on in the frequencies right now. And this was something that they're picking up. Also, I watched this other psychic medium named Salone Bella, and she does have a YouTube. Both of these have YouTube channels. And she was doing, she just released a video for that famous person, Wendy. And she was talking about, this is what this reminds me of. This is why I'm bringing it up. She was talking about Wendy because she was interpreting her birth chart. How Wendy's past loves, past enemies followed her spiritually into this lifetime. And so she's dealing a lot with a lot of past spiritual stuff that didn't work out for her. It was actually a really cool video. Even if you go for entertainment purposes, it can like really open your eyes to some things. Because if you look at it, we will, until we learn something, we will gravitate to the same personalities over and over and over and over and over. So what you have here, and what I'm getting at, is you have an unhealed version of yourself that dealt with the past situation that was out of your control. All right. So what you will have is different energies, even darker energies who move through people, just like light energies move through people too, to bring about lessons, to challenge us, to even enhance our fears, to keep us stuck. So you got faced with another one that's just like it, another one that followed you, this type of energy, not this particular person, who's followed you from your past into now. And the whole thing is, like Wendy was saying for, or not Wendy, Sloan was saying for Wendy, is that in this lifetime, her lifetime is to conquer this type of stuff, but it's stepping into her personal power, tuning into her gut, tuning into her intuition to figure out how to navigate this. And this is something that's coming up for you as well. There's no escaping it. So this is a big lesson here. It really, really is a big lesson. And for this Taurus, it's not going to be easy to get out of your comfort zone. But it's kind of like learning how to eat right, learning how to take care of yourself, learning how to put a 20-minute walk into your routine. All this is practice behind closed doors when people aren't looking. All this is practice, especially on the days that you don't want to practice it. And this is what that's going to entail from you on the days that you feel like you can't handle, being on your own in hermit mode and healing. Those are the days that you need to do some kind of exploration, take yourself on an adventure, to help you do it, to help you process, to help you work through it. But it just depends. Do you want to be dedicated to your fears and the unhealedness that's happened here? Or do you want to be dedicated to moving forward? Do you want to be dedicated to healing? Do you want to be dedicated to aligning with more higher up type of energies? Energies where you're more happy, energies where you don't feel like you have this chaos inside, energies to where you finally feel inner peace. It's all up to you. Some people like the thrill of having their inner world in chaos. Some people do. I'm not that person. So we're going to go into the block. And I do have my crow's deck here. This is going to be a big warning right away. We're doing some shadow work here. So this is why this is popping up. This is why this is weighing so heavy on you, Taurus, is because we need some shadow work done. We need some inner healing done. Just a quick warning also, sometimes this can have some kind of crude or even like gruesome or grotesque imagery that some people won't appreciate. I love different artwork, both the light and the dark, and I feel like sometimes when our shadow side is really, really taunting us, is really, having us really high in our fears, I really feel like the imaging on these cards can depict that shadow side very well. So if any images that I feel like anybody would not appreciate, I'm going to warn you ahead of time, and then there's going to be some kind of sound effect to let you know that it's gone, it's off the screen, and you can go ahead and look again and not worry about any crude image, okay? So, angels of protection, please protect us as we navigate the Taurus's block here. Keep us safe in the love, light, and compassion of the divine. Angels of protection. What is it that needs to come out? Look at that. It's talking about this partnership. What's going on with the partnership? It's the Five of Cups. Five of Cups in reverse. I feel like it's defeating. You don't feel like anybody hears you in this partnership. If you were to speak up, if you say anything, if you want to do anything different, lots of chaos comes from this other person who again is in the reverse Empress and in the reverse King of Swords. You're met with a really harsh opinion of this person. This person trying to keep you trapped. This energy trying to keep you trapped. It's not even this person. It's the energy that's working through them that doesn't want you to get away. What do I mean by that? Yeah, it doesn't want you to get away because it wants that 10 of Pentacles. It wants your energy. It wants your currency. It wants your time. It wants your focus. You have to remember, darker energies that we have to navigate from keep us in our anxieties, keep us in our fears, so we don't make moves, so we don't heal. Why? Because that means that they have an attachment to our energy. They have a line to our energy. That means they can siphon our energy. When you operate out of the negative side of the ego, that's when you can get a lot of stuff attached to you. It's gonna be like a magnet to you. You notice you'll start to attract certain kind of people to you too. And this is what this is. You've left the door open to this type of energy. I don't understand why you've left the door open to this type of energy, but it's something that what I hear is you blinded yourself. You blinded yourself when working for this partnership. This partnership, I don't think was happy from the get-go. Whatever this is the person, place, or thing. Those people aren't happy. It's almost like they were forced to be there. They were there because it was a good business deal. But it was only a one-sided kind of business deal. Because we have the one side here who feels so much about blocking you, about you not moving forward, and then we have you who's just not feeling like you're being seen. Could this been what has happened in the past, where you experienced a relationship, grew up in a situationship where people had to come together? There was some kind of coming together, and it wasn't through, say, love. It was through because it was the right thing. It was the thing we had to do. It was the good business deal. But this business deal could have been one of entrapment, making sure somebody doesn't walk away so somebody else has what they need and then some. This person doesn't want to do it on their own. What they will do is play the mind games on their own to keep you entrapped, and that could be the same thing that was happening before with whatever it was. What I heard is being somebody's fool. Why are we being somebody's fool? What else needs to come out? What else needs to come out? Here comes the 10 of Cups. This 10 of Cups lands on that person who's moving in silence. Whoever this is why... Okay, I'm seeing the lesson here. Alright, Taurus, I'm going to break it down for you. You're repeating a generational thing. Something happened where this has happened in the past generations here. You're doing the exact same thing. And you're letting it happen because it feels like this is the way it's supposed to be to you, in a sense. Because there's another side of you, your soul being side, I would say, your ego. Your ego is telling you, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is just the way life is. This is just the way it goes. But then you have your soul being like, hey, Taurus, psst, Taurus, hey, this isn't right, man. Come on, we deserve better. Taurus, listen to me. Red flag, red flag, red flag. You have a soul being here, yourself, who's trying to save yourself from this. Yeah, ourselves will try and save ourselves. But you have this identity with this situation because it identifies with something before. Something that you've been through before. And what it is in this past, or the way that you think you have to see it too, both these situations, is it's supposed to be successful. Look at that. We have the 10 of Cups in the present saying, hey, this ain't it, man. This ain't what we worked hard for. But in the block, it's saying, hey, everything's wonderful. You lying to yourself to get you through your day, Taurus. I feel like this is that faking it to make it kind of energy here. You know, if I put on the smile, if I pretend to do this, if I'm the dancing chicken here, then maybe I can convince myself that, you know, this is just the way life is. No, it's not. You're just a dancing chicken. I'm sorry to say. You became a dancing chicken in a generational kind of thing. And as we say generational kind of thing, we have the 3 of Cups here. 3 of Cups that lands on that King of Pentacles in reverse. You're not celebrating. That's the reality of it. You're not celebrating. You don't know how to feel. Everything's on the flip. I think that in order to align with whatever this energy is in your current situation, you have to take yourself down. You know, say that you get inspired by something. And you're like, okay, I'm inspired. I feel it. I feel the flow of the divine. You know, I'm getting confidence in myself. Then something happens and these other energies come in. And instead of you going into hermit mode to still heal, what you're doing is you're doing like the hermit in reverse. Is you're trusting these others and what they're saying and what they're telling you. And what they're telling you is basically to keep you far from healing. You know, there's times where I even tell my daughter, there's going to be times where you have to tell your friends no. You have to tell your friends no, and you have to focus on you, and you have to focus on where you're going. And I feel like anytime there's some kind of inkling of going on where you're moving forward, you have others coming in and say, hey, hey, hey. But by the end of the night, you're in regret. You're still upset. Alcohol is a downer. Whatever coping mechanism that we're doing to numb stuff, you got to come off of. You come down on it. And a lot of times we feel like more like shit. We feel even more shitty, I should say. And I feel like that's what it is. But it's such a repetitive thing that you think that this is where the success is at. You convinced yourself that this is your success. You convinced yourself that this is all you get. Oh, this is going to be the last one for the block, Taurus. Yeah, look at that. 7 of Cups. I don't really think you can be around this energy sober. And that doesn't mean you have to be a raging alcoholic or a drug abuser. This could be like, you know, making sure that you have something certain with you to prep you up before you go hang out with this person, or even wake up next to this person, even go to the workplace, you know, to have to deal with this person. There's something here that you have to work yourself up with. For some reason, I don't get that you enjoy this person when you're sober. That's a hard one too. There's that one country song with the lyrics, she ain't no fun now that I'm sober, or something. I mean, that should be the biggest rude awakening here. That's what I'm hearing. That should be like your flaming red flag that you notice. And I say flaming because the red flags have been thrown and you haven't noticed. Maybe you would notice a flaming red flag. That is something to really think about. Really think about, if you can't enjoy somebody's company in your soberest of mind. And think too, certain emotions will intoxicate us. And I say that because we can have emotions of anger. And in that emotion of anger, we can make really bad decisions, ill decisions, decisions that could put us in jeopardy or put others in jeopardy as well. So there's something here that you can't keep the sober mind around this person. That's hard. That is hard. That's something to really think about, Taurus. Is this really what you want? Is this the kind of partnership with this person, place, or thing? Is this actually what you want? Because if this is a generational thing, then the only outcome you're going to get is the same outcome of the generations before. And there's something here in the before generation that you're upset about. But you're repeating the same mistake in a sense. Do not be hard on yourself. What I'm hearing from the divine is you need to see this from a different view. A view where you congratulate yourself for being conscious of this. For you even being able to even look in the direction of, there's something wrong. That's really hard to do. Certain generations receive certain knowledges at certain times to promote healing at that time, whatever healing that can happen at that time. The generation before you wasn't as emotionally evolved. Think about it. The generation before us, when they were young, if you talked about therapy, everyone was looked at as crazy. But now in this day and age, therapy is looked at as a tool to help a person. So please keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Things have changed from then until now. That means that you can change things too. You're not doomed to have to repeat somebody else's mistakes. I always tell my clients, especially the new parents, is look at the things that your parents did in the past. Not with resentment, not with anger, but just look at the things that they did and look at the things that or think about the things that you wish they would have done, things that you would have changed, because you've seen it from one view, they've seen it from another view. But how can you improve it? How can you take those miscommunications, those things that you wish they didn't do or the things that you wish they did do, and how can you learn from it to do better for yourself and for the next generation instead of just repeating that same mistake? Taurus, this is going to take a higher up kind of look. This is you actually taking your head out of the mud and taking a deep breath of fresh air, because your head has been down in the mud for quite a bit. Take a nice deep breath of fresh air and just sit with yourself for a little bit. Just sit with yourself for a little bit. I really think you need to let it out. That's what I feel, Taurus. I feel like you need to cry. You need to let it out. You need to say how you feel. You need to feel it. You really need to feel it, because like I said, on that metaphoric shelf that we have all those emotions that we don't want to recognize, all those situations that we're embarrassed that we just don't want to deal with. All these emotions are not going to go away until you start processing them. I would even suggest talking to a counselor, a therapist, a psychologist, a mentor. I would suggest nobody in the family. If there is one person in the family, I would say what I'm hearing is like an aunt, a distant aunt, maybe a distant relative who wasn't in the mix, a distant relative who did things a little bit different. That's always good. I know for me, I grew up in a very toxic household, and we had a distant relative who, the husband was an officer and the wife was a hairdresser. And they, from outside looking in, they didn't raise their kids in a toxic environment. They were very supportive. So I went to this distant relative at one time when my kids were little, and I asked him, what is the keys to being a supportive parent? And they told me some stuff, and I kept it in my mind. I kept it in my mind, and I exercised some of the things that they did. So unless you're going to talk about it, unless you're ready to start healing from it, these emotions, this inner chaos isn't going to go anywhere. You have to be ready to face this fear. And just know, whatever this generational thing that's happening, there is a link. You have a link to a darker energy that has your energy. That's what that fear is. When we have fear that holds us back, is a darker energy that's holding us back, telling us that we're not good enough, telling us everything that we feared to keep us back. How can you be more stubborn in understanding that you're allowed to move forward? You're allowed to feel differently. You're allowed to achieve what at one time you thought was impossible because of however you grew up in or whatever has happened in the past. But yeah, I strongly suggest talking to somebody, and you got to be vulnerable. You got to let it out. You have to let it out. Let out what your fears are. Let out what it is that you're upset about. Let out what you feel like is happening all over again. Because when you start to let this out, it's like you're starting to build a puzzle. Okay, so we only have such a clear picture. And because you haven't processed stuff, we don't have that many pieces to start to see what this picture is. When you start to process, you start to let stuff out, then you start to get more pieces of that puzzle for this life journey to see what it is that you're making. It's really important, Taurus. You are important. Don't forget that. All right, so we made it to the conclusion here. Thank you, Taurus community, for your patience as we're navigating this. So let's ask our guides, angels, ancestors, divine and universal energy, what needs to come out for the conclusion, for the Taurus frequency. Something we're not seeing. Taurus, believe in them. Believe that you have support. I mean it. I almost want to cry. Believe it. You have not been abandoned. You were never abandoned at a younger age from your ancestors, your guides, your angels. Divine, universal energy. They haven't abandoned you. They're still here for you. So what is it? What is it that I'm holding on so dearly? It's this card right here. Cast away negativity. The thing that's keeping you from the sober mind. The thing that keeps you from recognizing this conflict that's happening all over again. You have to cast out the negativity. You're hurting yourself more than anyone else holding on to it. And that's the truth. This doesn't hurt this person. It doesn't hurt this other person in the past. It doesn't hurt anyone else but yourself. You gotta let it go. You gotta cast it out. We gotta work through it. What else needs to come out? Look at that. I'm going to let you know. And the exact word I heard is flunkies. You need to cut these flunkies out. It's time. You gotta get out of this frequency. However, you got to tone yourself down. You got to take step backs from, you trying to move towards your purpose, towards your healing. You got to cut that out. How they say it, cut it out. If you know that reference, you're amazing. You got to cut it out. They're not for you. It's time to come full circle with it. You don't need them. They technically don't need you. Life is still going to go on for them. Safe travels. This lands on that moves in silence. What I'm hearing, that's that confronting. What do you do with this confronting, with this emotion? Because we talked about conflicting, confronting, and controlling earlier. So this is the confronting. Nothing's going to work. Nothing is going to feel like it's sound, in a sense, like what's another word? Nothing's gonna feel like it's going to do anything until you start to feel what you need to feel. When you start to feel what you need to feel, when you start to open up to how you feel, then that's gonna start to unblock your mental state. Remember, because your mental being, your spiritual being, your physical being, your emotional being all have blocks. They're all blocked. So right now we need to get into that emotional being and the spiritual being. When we can get into the emotional and spiritual being, we start to align with them, align with how we're feeling, aligning with our truths, validating ourselves. Then we're going to bring that mental being in. And then that's going to calm down some of the ways that we think, some of the ways that we feel, some of the ways that we're over focusing on trying to not have this past happen or not be hurt. We have to first give ourselves permission to feel. Because you have to feel what's going on. You're going to have to be honest, especially with this person, the many moves that they're making in silence, the things that they're doing against you, the things that they want to keep you stuck in. And it's going to take courage. It's going to take courage. The Leo is also known for a lot of self-sacrificing. There's a story where a Leo had sat there and defanged and declawed themselves just to marry somebody, to show that to her father that he wasn't going to hurt his wife, his future wife, this father's daughter. And as soon as the Leo was rendered vulnerable, they chased him off. Stop making yourself vulnerable for these others. Stop taking away from who you are to get in where you think you fit in. You don't fit in here unless you really want to. Do you really want to fit in here? Do you really want to keep company with all this misery here? You have to figure out if that's what you want to do. What are you coming out here, Mrs. Mission Impossible? Hi, how are you? All right, so let's continue on. We got a few more cards to come out. What are the last two cards for Taurus's conclusion? Something that's holding you back. Something that you could be worried about, you don't want to talk about, can't even see what's going to happen. Is we have financial security. What's going to happen when you separate from this partnership? And then I have grounding out. Alright, so this is why all these stories are for entertainment purposes. I'm just going to let you know that. Remember, these are all for entertainment purposes. So, what I want to say here is the only way you can have nothing is if you feel like you have nothing. What do I mean? Is you can have the person with the most money, the biggest home, the most lavish of things. But when they walk in that home, it feels like nothing. It's empty. There's nobody there to enjoy it with. There's no kind of happiness. There's no kind of inner fulfillment. So you have to be careful when you look at what is actually a big currency when it comes to your financial security, because we have a lot of different currencies. Yes, here in the 3D, we're always told to think about the one, and that's money. But we're never taught about the currencies of certain wealths that are attained through spiritual work, through spiritual attunement, through walking our life's journey, our path, with a higher meaning. These are all currencies as well. This is all financial currency. It's all financial security for me. So here you're afraid of losing some kind of security in finances, but it's only the one type. The one type. What you're not seeing is the wealth and other currencies that you could build. The wealth of healing, the wealth of inner peace, the wealth of learning of love and what love really is. And the reason why I bring it to that is I have a person I know in a very, very sticky situation. It's an adult. This adult is getting ready to lose everything over one person who's not even focused on them. One person who would have them believing that they in the 10 of cups, even though they're getting ready to lose everything. This one person who makes moves to keep this other one stuck. And what is happening is this person that's in this sticky situation only sees it from the one view. They don't see it from other views. They only want to stay stuck in it. And the more that they're stuck in it, the more that's being taken from them. Energetically, within this dimension, even with things that they love. And here, slowly, you have something that is siphoning something that you really, really want, something that your soul being really wants. And it's a certain kind of healing. There's a certain progression that you're supposed to have here in this lifetime, I feel like, for this Taurus. But it's confronting these energies that just want to take and create the illusion that you have this success when deep down you don't feel it. You have to be careful. You have to be careful. Because what happens when you let somebody take advantage of you? They're going to continue to take advantage of you. What happens when you don't do healing? You're going to continue to suffer and be haunted by things in your past. So this is a really big confronting the fears here. If you want to move forward, you have to confront the fears. And it starts with the past. And then you're going to work from there one step at a time. If you go talk to a counselor, a therapist, a psychologist, I'm going to tell you, be prepared to be emotionally rocked for 3 to 5 sessions in. Because there's a lot of unpacking that you have to do, but you haven't had that connection. You haven't had an opportunity given to you to where you could have talked about this, say, with others when you were younger. There are situations like that. I had a parent in particular that I was 30-something years old. 30-something years old when finally I had the first time to where I could sit down and I could talk to them about how I felt. From the age of a young one all the way till 30-something years of age, I couldn't sit down and talk to this parent about how I felt about things. Stuff like that happens in life. Not everybody grows up in perfect situations. Not everybody is surrounded by higher vibrating family, friends. But you have to remember all of this is being presented for a reason. It's being presented because the divine believes in you. The divine believes that you're strong enough to get through this. But the divine wants you to believe in it too. This is why it's asking you to go on this journey and to confront your fears. All right, Taurus, this is going to conclude it. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, and your patience. And don't forget to thank your angels, ancestors, and spirit guides for coming in and helping out. And I hope that you have a most wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.